Did Blake Lively's lawyer quit after Justin Baldoni fights back with $400 million lawsuit?
Justin Baldoni's team has issued a response in opposition to dismiss the New York Times.
How the New York Times actively vouched for the veracity of its false narrative.
We actually want all evidence to come out that's proper and appropriate evidence.
Blake Lively's lawyer just jumped ship, and the reason might be more explosive than anyone expected. Word has it that a major entertainment industry scandal is at the center of her rapidly crumbling image. And it's gotten so ugly that even her own attorney won't stick around. How far did Blake go to end up with this catastrophic fallout? We're digging into every shocking detail behind the meltdown and why it's threatening to derail her career. This bombshell twist might just be the beginning of a brand new nightmare for Blake Lively. Her carefully crafted public persona is shattering right before our eyes, and the aftermath is nothing short of devastating. Blake Lively caused a huge mess that nobody can ignore. She stood in front of cameras with a smug look on her face, acting like she was above everyone else. She thought that if she said something, people would just believe it.
The subheading really nails the author's grievance. Says the death of Me Too and embrace of patriarchal ideals isn't coming from politics, it's coming from women online. Basically, women doing other women dirty. Big mistake. You see, she paints Blake Lively as the victim. Not a victim of Baldoni, although I'm sure she believes that, but the victim of other women who are ruining Blake's reputation for daring to accuse a man of...
She seemed to think her fame would protect her from any real consequences. But guess what happened instead? The entire internet decided they were tired of her little games. Big mistake. From the start, Blake acted like the boss of a movie set where she was only supposed to be an actress. She took over the script, demanded control of the costumes, and tried to make changes that were not hers to make. She dragged her very famous husband Ryan Reynolds into the conflict, hoping he would scare everyone into doing whatever she wanted. She must have believed that with his big name and bank account, nobody would dare to challenge her. But that plan flopped when the real world saw right through it. The fight began with Justin Baldoni.
She kept holding up production with fake illnesses. She made narcissistic demands for control. She threatened the studio and Baldoni if they didn't comply, saying she would not promote the film. So, no, the evidence at this point is overwhelming. Blake is the toxic aggressor in this instance.
The director of the movie she was hired to be in, Blake filed a lawsuit claiming he treated her badly, but the details did not add up. She expected people to take her side without asking any questions, but many important facts came out that made her story look weak. People started to suspect Blake was just trying to twist the truth. She seemed upset that Justin would not let her do whatever she wanted on set. He would not give her total control of the movie. She got mad and decided to make serious accusations. But she had almost no solid proof.
This suit against the New York Times is hard.
A public statement written by she and Ryan for Baldoni. Here, we wrote this for you. Just sign your name and put this out, taking all the blame for every problem we've had. He wouldn't do it.
After that, she went on a public crusade trying to get everyone to see her as a victim. A public statement was allegedly written by her and Ryan for Baldoni. Here, we wrote this for you. Just sign your name and put this out, taking all the blame for every problem we've had. He wouldn't do it. She leaked stories to big newspapers, hoping they would paint her in a nice light. But the information made her look even more suspicious. It turned out she was cherry-picking text messages. She removed emojis, context, and important parts of conversations to make Justin look like the villain. Then she acted like he was some horrible monster who mistreated her. But Justin fought back, sharing the full text messages which showed that Blake was not being honest. Blake made a complaint full of lies. In one scene where she claimed her lip was bitten, video evidence later emerged showing a different story.
Campaign to tarnish Lively after she alleged that Justin Baldoni, her co-star and director, and Jamie Heath, the producer, had engaged in misconduct while shooting the film.
After all, if the Times, the very same media giant that's been making history for decades.
Blake made a complaint full of lies. She bit his lip in that, one scene where she said that hers was bitten. Then the video comes out, it's hers in every ounce.
In fact, some messages showed her praising his work on the movie. Those were words she never wanted the public to see. This was just the start of her big downfall. Media figures noticed all these lies. They saw how Blake was using the media to make herself look like a hero who had been wronged. They noticed she was trying to manipulate everyone, thinking her status would shield her from criticism. Blake had also tried to use her close friendship with Taylor Swift as a shield. She dragged Taylor's name into it, making it sound like Taylor was on her side, but sources said Taylor wanted nothing to do with Blake's lawsuit drama. Taylor realized that Blake was just using her name to look important and gain sympathy, so she stepped away. That was another blow to Blake's public image. If she had any sense, she would have stopped there and gone quiet. But, of course, Blake did the opposite. Instead of lying low, at every turn when things weren't going her way, she escalated. She claimed there were complaints by other actresses to the studio. The studio responded, "No, we didn't get any other complaints." She did more interviews and hired more PR people. She continued to speak about her claims like she was on a crusade for justice. The problem was that official court documents told a different story. Her side of events changed often, and she had trouble explaining why she needed so many of Justin Baldoni's private records if she had real evidence in the first place. She wanted years of his emails, not just the communications about the movie. Most folks think that means she had nothing and was searching for anything that might make him look
At every turn, it's not going her way. She claimed there were complaints by other actresses to Sony. Sony says, no, we didn't get any other complaints.
bad. It seemed like a classic case of desperation, not a real pursuit of justice. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni hit back with his own countersuit. He did not just sue Blake. He included Ryan Reynolds and the PR firm that apparently helped push all these stories. He went for a huge sum of money, hundreds of millions of dollars, showing that he was serious. He refused to let Blake ruin his reputation. He produced more evidence and statements that made Blake's story look even weaker. It became clear that she was not telling the truth about what happened on set.
She put an innocent guy on blast in a civil complaint filed with the state of California. 2 days later, with her publicist, allegedly, and most obviously, they colluded with the New York Times to ruin Baldoni.
She also tried to involve other actresses like Jenny Slate and Isabella Ferrer, implying that they also faced problems with Justin. Yet those actresses never backed her up. One of them even thanked Justin for making her feel comfortable on set. This made Blake look even more like she was making stuff up just to harm Justin's career. One of the biggest shocks was learning how Ryan Reynolds behaved. Early on, Ryan was friendly with Justin. There were texts showing Ryan telling Justin he thought he was great. But then all of a sudden, he changed sides. Once Blake started accusing Justin of all these terrible things, Ryan decided to defend her even if the evidence was questionable. Many folks saw this as Ryan trying to stay on his wife's good side. Hollywood insiders whispered that Ryan was scared of what might happen if he did not go along with her claims. He did not want to be seen as a husband who wouldn't stand by his wife, but it made him look weak and fake. Media commentators had a field day with this situation. They went after both Blake and Ryan, calling them narcissists who think they can control the media and the public. They pointed out how quickly Blake went from being America's darling to one of the most disliked people in show business. She once had a sweet image, but now she seemed like a person who used dark tactics to attack someone who wouldn't let her run an entire movie set by herself. Blake also tried to turn this whole thing into a message about women's empowerment and feminism. She made it sound like Justin was a terrible man who wanted to silence her, but the facts do not support that at all. In reality, it looks like Blake simply wanted total control, and when she did not get it, she pulled out the most serious accusations she could think of, expecting everyone to believe her. Yet the proof did not match what she was saying. Actual feminists who fight for truth and justice saw right through her. Some people who might have defended her decided that she was just using a serious topic to get an advantage in a business dispute. They distanced themselves from her because they did not want to support someone who invents stories for personal gain. Even more ridiculous is how Blake tried to promote a movie about domestic abuse in the most insensitive way possible. She told people to gather friends, wear pretty dresses, and make it a fun night out. Then she tied her alcohol brand to the film as if a story about abuse was something people should toast with cocktails. That was so out of touch that many viewers were appalled. They called her tone deaf, which is a nice way of saying she had no sense of how real survivors of abuse would feel about that. During all of this, the lawsuit ballooned into something massive. Justin asked for a huge amount of money in his countersuit, claiming that Blake, Ryan, and their PR team tried to destroy his name. He also used evidence of them meddling with the script, wanting to rewrite scenes, and trying to run the production. This does not sound like the behavior of someone who was just a victim. It sounds like a person who wanted to be in charge of every single detail. And when she did not get her way, she threw a tantrum. Ryan got pulled deeper into the mess. People found out he had tried to get Justin to change the movie to fit what he and Blake wanted. When Justin refused, Ryan supposedly flipped out. Then once the lawsuit became public, Ryan acted like he was always on Blake's side. More of their private texts came to light. It became painfully obvious that he was caught in the middle, but chose to do whatever Blake wanted. Some folks see that as Ryan betraying a friend. But he might have felt he had no choice. None of it looks good for him, especially now that he is also getting sued for hundreds of millions of dollars. During this drama, Blake kept searching for any angle that might make her look better. She bragged about how powerful she and her husband were, even calling him a dragon who would go after Justin. This showed how she thought of herself as some kind of queen who could summon a mythical creature to burn down whoever dared to stand in her way. But her plan backfired. Instead of Justin getting burned, the public saw Blake's nastiness, and they turned against her. They realized that she was willing to weaponize her husband and anyone else to get what she wanted. Her lies kept piling up. Court papers revealed more and more contradictions. She would claim one thing in her lawsuit, then text messages would say another. She made it sound like Justin was some big threat on set, but behind the scenes, she praised his directing skills. She told the public she was frightened, but her own words told a different story. People started making unflattering comparisons, drawing parallels between her and other celebrities who lost high-profile cases after trying to twist the truth. It was not a flattering comparison, but it was one that stuck. Blake kept saying she was the real victim, but you cannot be the victim if you keep getting caught in lies. You cannot say you are defending yourself when you use sneaky tactics like editing messages and removing the parts that show you actually liked the other person's work. That is not how innocent people behave. Innocent people do not have to dig through 2 years of someone else's personal life to find dirt. They do not launch PR attacks on news sites and then cry about it when the news sites reveal more details that hurt their story. Blake also tried to position herself as a champion of women, saying that she was stepping forward to protect them from Justin's alleged bad behavior. But 2 of the women she dragged into her story had no idea what she was talking about. They had good things to say about Justin. So it looked like Blake tried to paint a big picture of multiple actresses suffering the same problem, but it was made up. Those actresses refused to go along with her claims. That made her look even worse. The entire internet started roasting Blake, calling her out for her dishonesty. People asked how she ever got away with such false claims for so long. Many thought she was used to everyone praising her for her style, looks, and her relationship with Ryan. So maybe she believed nobody would ever question her. But the minute she went too far, she was confronted with facts that she could not spin. She had no real explanation for why she told one story in her lawsuit and another story in private messages. It was like watching someone dig themselves into a hole and then try to fill it in with more lies. At first, fans of Blake and Ryan tried to defend them. They claimed Justin must be attacking them for no reason. But then more evidence came out. Suddenly those fans went silent or admitted that they had been fooled by Blake's image. The image of her being a harmless, happy star shattered in the face of all these leaks and documents. Even other celebrities who used to be friendly with her wanted nothing to do with this lawsuit. They stopped supporting her on social media, stopped talking about her, and kept their distance so they would not get dragged into the toxic clouds surrounding her.